Well, welcome to the Metal Bob Live podcast. I'm your host, Metal Bob. We got co-host Bazooka Phil, and our guest today is Mr. Ryan McKay. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing well, Bob. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Yeah, so
We're excited to have you back on.
congratulations on the new record.
Yes.
Yes, Gadzooks got its official release a few weeks ago, and it's been doing great. Lots of really good feedback, so I'm very excited about it.
Nice, nice. Well, we'll fire away, Phil. I'm gonna let you ask a few questions.
Well, first off, I did want to, get a little housekeeping out of the way. I've got to share, Ryan and those guys, the Atomics King just went international release, right?
Mhm.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
And I just wanted to make sure and mention that because I know this interview is more about his solo project, but that's a big deal, and I did want to give him recognition for that. And if there's anything you want to add in there, Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, we're really excited. I'm very proud of that Atomic Kings record. It came out about a year ago. Unfortunately, the label that we signed to folded. It was just one thing after the after the other. And so we signed up with Fire Rock Music Group, and thank God for them. They've got us hooked up with international distribution now. So it's basically getting a re-release, and it could find finally an international audience because obviously with our history and with Greg Chason from Badlands, he's got a international fan base as well. So we're really excited to get it out. I'm very proud of the record. My solo stuff is more singer-songwriter, but I am a guitar player. That's my first love, and the Atomic Kings represents my guitar histrionics in full view. So it's I'm really proud of it because, like I said, I'm a guitar player first, and I always wanted a project like this where I'm really guitar forward. All I do is play guitar. I mean, I write riffs and stuff. I'm a writer with that project, but I get to do long solos and stuff where my solo stuff doesn't really incorporate a lot of guitar stuff, as much because it's more focused on production and songs. So really proud of that record. Check it out, Atomic Kings. You can listen to it on Spotify if you'd like as well. It's everywhere. But now if you wanted to get a physical copy, you can get it worldwide.
And
Nice.
may I add one thing? I did see it's coming out on vinyl.
Yes, we had a meeting now. Now Greg has stepped away from Atomic Kings at this point, but we're all remain close friends. He just wanted a break, and so the three of us had a meeting, and apparently Fire Rock has said we should do vinyl, and we said yes, we should. Me as a huge vinyl fan, I'm like yes, and he's got a really good outlet to make that happen for us. So that I'm very excited about to hear the Atomic Kings record on vinyl. I'm very excited for that.
Nice.
Yeah, me too, actually. I'm a big fan of the album. You guys did a great job. I think I already did a review on this, but yeah, thumbs up, man. Great stuff. And I just wanted to get out a little housekeeping stuff too.
Oh,
Christ Street Kids,
look at that.
make sure you pick up your Christ Street Kids, man. Again, another great project that Ryan was part of and incredible. Oh, thanks, man.
There it is.
But while we're pimping, this record's great. I love that record. You did a great job with that, Phil.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, I've been a huge fan of Ryan's for a while. So I've got all of his if we go in here, here's his Gadzooks, here's
solo records. Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, I've got everything. Well, and then I want to make sure everybody understands that all this stuff is out there. There's vinyl, there's CDs, there's options out there for you to purchase, and they need to go on and get this stuff. I love how you put the personal notes in here. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I wanted to thank people that support this solo project. It's just a personal touch that I just wanted to reach out. Everyone gets a little post-it note going, "Hey, man, thanks. Really appreciate it. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to make it happen." And that's
thing. I love it. I love it. I think it's having that personal touch to everything. A lot of respects there, a lot of kudos, and then the great inserts, the artwork. And this is Zoe that does this, right? or is
Yeah,
it out?
Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe does
Zoe,
the
get in
artwork.
here.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. My daughter, she's 19. Zoe does all that artwork, and she's absolutely fantastic. I mean, just a brilliant artist, and I co-opted her talents for my music career, and she's killing it. She just kills it every time.
yeah, fantastic stuff. And it's a whole family. I love how when you do your solo stuff, it's a family production. Everybody's involved in some aspect of the process
Yeah.
for, so I would love for you to speak about that a little bit, how everybody, how they're involved and the contributions of the family.
Yeah, it for me to do a record under the banner of Ryan McKay was a real big step for me. I'm not that kind of person that would feel like I could make a solo career or whatever. I've written and recorded a number of records by myself, but I just never had the guts to put it out. And as time went on, when I finally decided, you know what, I think I'm old enough now where it's like, screw it, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. But if I'm going to do it, I want to incorporate my family in all of it, because for years and years, like I said, my daughter is 19, so we're talking almost 20 years now. They never really got to see me play or write and create music here at the house. It was always at Shabby Road or, in the studios. I did a record at Capitol Records. I'm always in studios, and I barely even played because when I came home from teaching, I used to teach guitar lessons and stuff like that. That was my day job. So the last thing I wanted to do was play guitar. So they never got to see me do it. And that was a big proponent, where I want them to kind of not only see that happen, see the process that I go through to create records, but also participate. And I'm very blessed to have a hugely talented artist in Zoe. She's a brilliant artist. And then also my son, Alex, is also brilliant as far as computer technologies, laying stuff out. The thing about Alex, he helps me to lay out. So when you make the record, obviously you've got to put it in a PDF file and send it over and get the formatting correctly. And Alex is brilliant at that. But Alex's real true passion in life is his YouTube channel. He is an absolutely great YouTuber who does gaming and stuff like that, but he loves to sit there and edit video and all that stuff. And that's his passion. So I've got those two kids, that are very helpful. And they, I think I paid Zoe for her artwork a couple tanks of gas for her car. And then
Nice.
I told Alex, I pay for his Adobe. He has Adobe Photoshop and Adobe video editing. And so I pay for
Yeah.
that, which is more expensive than the tank of gas, believe it. Uh, and then, of course,
Yeah.
my wonderful bride, Michelle, I love her to death. We've been together forever. And she is just there. She's the rock. She's doing a lot of the promotion stuff. So we reach out to get interviews and stuff like that. So she's running that piece of it. She helps me with my social media. She used to do that as a job a few years ago. She's back at American Express now, but back a few years ago, she learned a lot about social media, so she can help me with that. And, so it really is a family affair. I'm super proud of all of it. They're awesome.
Yeah, and you guys are doing an awesome job. I mean, top-notch product that you're putting out, great communication, the video party that you had for this. So, speaking of that, let's just jump into the new
Gadzooks.
Gadzooks, and let's talk a little bit about this. Let's start off with the concept. It's a concept album. Did you develop? Now, how did you come up with the concept?
So on my phone, I have a number of titles for records. So like Ryan McKay and the Broken Brains, Ryan McKay and the Fugitive Robots, Ryan McKay and the something something, and Ryan McKay Gadzooks was one of them. And I thought, I like that. There's something about that I really like. Okay, so what can I make that, like, what does that mean? So none of this stuff has a concept yet. It's just words. I'll be having a couple of beers, and I go, Ryan McKay and the Gadzooks, and with no real intention. Like, I don't know what it means, but it's there among 20 other song titles or album titles rather. And so Gadzooks, I wanted to make something more spiritual. The Broken Brains was obviously about the mind. So logically, the second record would be more about spirit. So mind and spirit. And that was kind of the idea. And so I'm like, well, I don't want to make like a really religious record or anything like that, right? I got to figure out a way to create a spiritual vibe in the record, but still make it rock and roll and not like preachy. So I
didn't want to do the Elvis thing.
Right, yeah, because Elvis used
Tassels
to do
all
those gospel records. Yeah, so
and I'm not putting it down. That's great stuff. But anyway, go ahead.
Of course, that just I didn't want to go down that path. So what I did is I came up with the idea of a Ouija board. So when I was in middle school, I remember being in gym class, and there were these two girls that were playing. They literally brought a Ouija board to gym class, and they're like doing it. And there's in the planchette, the pointer thing was like it was going and going and going, and they were convinced that they were talking to a kid who died. And I always remembered that, and I thought it was preposterous, of course, back even when I was in whatever grade, seventh grade. I'm like, this is preposterous, But I thought, you know what? Let's make it about Ouija boards, and let's make it basically based on that memory that I have of middle school with these two girls. So I have a girl that is looking for someone who she's lost. She's trying to get in contact with them. So she uses a Ouija board. And what's interesting to me, like, okay, great, that's a good concept. Now what that does is it opens up the possibilities. Like, she meets a bunch of other spirits, because you can't just go in with a Ouija board and find, who you're looking for. You're going to run into a bunch of people. You don't know what spirits you're going to get. So she gets a whole number of spirits. And that allowed me, I was really, really excited about the concept, because I could make all these different stories. Every song is one of those spirits' life story, and they want to get it across to somebody. This girl, they need to talk to her, and tell her, hey, here's what happened, And so I was really excited about that. Once I kind of sat and thought through that, I'm like, this is going to make a really good concept record. And it wasn't long. I mean, I began writing in April, and I was done by August. And production, everything, like, it was in production in September of last year. It was like so quick. I was so inspired by that concept. So when that shit happens, man, you got to like go for it. Go with it, and I was really upset. I became obsessed, with the idea and getting it done. So I'm super proud of the record, and I love the fact that it came so quickly. That's when you're on to something.
You're on to something good. Yeah. Dude, that whole concept, I love how you have the character and the individuality of the spirits. They have their own story, but yet it's all connected. It's wrapped up under this whole journey of this girl going through, and just a great concept. I love the character development, and I also love how you utilize those videos that you put out, through Ryan McKay Music and your own Facebook page, and put out on YouTube, I'm sure, as well. I saw them on Instagram in different formats. But so talk about that, because you do little snippets. If people aren't aware of what you do, kind of talk about those and how they can go. Because I think that little insight that you give, you talk about, well, I'll just let you explain it. Why don't you go through and explain those?
Yeah. I mean, the record itself, you can play it, and you don't necessarily need to get into every nuance of it, but I do the videos so that I can explain who this spirit is and what is their story. Some of them are based in actual historical events. Like, there's a song, Somewhere, Somehow, which is about Harry Houdini. And that's it's a true story that he and his wife believed in seances, and when he died, he was trying to contact her. Now, she did every Halloween. They tried to reach Harry Houdini after he passed away, and they never found him. And finally, she gave up on it. So I found obviously you have to, if you're doing Gadzooks and you're doing this a Ouija board thing, you got to have Harry Houdini in there. There's a song that's based on something stupid that I did where I could have died but didn't. That's called The Swan. I was stupid and I jumped off of a train bridge into the Mississippi River. We were drunk. We didn't know how deep the water was at all. Luckily for us, it wasn't too shallow. Had it been too shallow, I would have basically sank waist deep into mud and never came out. And so I wanted to write a song about that. And this girl that did that because she was trying to fit in with the in crowd, and she didn't know how shallow the water was, and she never got out. And that was her story, you know. And then also just the idea of I could like put these characters in every time frame, which allowed me to explore different musical genres. So I wrote a fugue, which is, you know,
Oh, I was going to ask you about that.
yeah, 17th century musical style, and I played it on a harpsichord and wrote three different parts. And so that character was a French drunk who believes that this flower girl who sells flowers at a flower shop, you know, is like their best friends, and of course she doesn't like him because he's a vagabond. And then Curtains is based on a true story as well. There's a song Curtains where I wanted to write an aria, like an opera. So I based it on the true story of the composer who wrote the opera Pagliacci about the tragic clown. His story is that he dies and his widow had this young guy, a protege, the whole time. And so the composer of Pagliacci is like from beyond the grave going, "You tell that bitch," you know, you know, screw that, you know. And I thought that was a fascinating story. I'm a big fan of Pagliacci because of Seinfeld. I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, so Pagliacci was famously a part of an episode. And I love actually that moment in that opera. If you check it out, the actual opera, it's this huge operatic, you know, huge like aria. And I'm like, I want to write an aria. So it gave me, that's the cool thing about the Gadzooks records, is it gave me this, whatever I could dream up, like, well, I'm going to do a fugue, I'm going to do an aria, I'm going to do a power pop song, I'm going to do an 80s pastiche, you know, an 80s new wave pastiche, and, you know, all kinds of stuff. So, man, it just happened so quickly. I was very excited.
Yeah, and it fits so, you know, and you talk about these different styles and stuff, but you fit them so well. They blend. I mean, the flow of the album is it works. It all works together.
Yeah.
It all has a pop sensibility that goes, you know, that's the theme that kind of, for me, that runs through the whole thing. And then you have these different, you know, different writing styles that you're throwing in there. Yeah, I was, when I was going through and I was like, fugue, man, because I remember watching that and going, what the hell's a fugue? And then I remembered I was watching Interview with a Vampire, and there's a moment in there, a scene that they have that they're playing a fugue. It's an old, you know, French Quarter scene where they're tabbing with there's a fugue playing in the background. And as soon as I heard your song, I was like, oh crap, okay, that makes sense. And then, you know, it falls right in there. And great job, man, with the songwriting.
That comes from me taking a music appreciation class in junior college back in whatever 1991 or whatever, and I didn't know what a fugue was either, but now it's stuck with me. Like it's like that is it's sort of like the hair metal of its time, or whatever you want to call grunge music, or you know how this fashionable kind of music styles, you know, big band swing or what have you. Fugue was one of those, and so. Did I accomplish it perfectly? Probably not, but it was fun to attempt it. And it spurred the entire song, like where I'm going to write it about this French guy who's a vagabond and it's going to be a fugue. So it's such a great challenge. And I really love that stuff. That's what love about making solo records is like I'm going to challenge myself over and over again, you know.
Well, and your songwriting, I've always been a huge fan of your songwriting, just because there's a lot of you use a lot of colors and depth and dynamics. I love how, especially when you step out of the band environment and go into your solo stuff, you explore all kinds of instrumental mediums, and you know you it's a great experience. And there's the constant Ryan McKay, but then you're challenging yourself with all these different elements, and I love that, and inspired me. Now I have to go buy a damn keyboard because of you, so I can start. I'm like, I'm gonna start adding that into my sound. So anyway, so yeah, I'm sure my wife won't thank you as much as I do, but yeah.
Well, what a wonderful compliment that is. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate it. But the thing is, like, where you like, I'm a fan of music, so my record collection is so diverse, you know. And you know, my favorite guys are people like Brian Wilson. You know, Brian Wilson was an absolute genius. If you listen to Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, that thing is remarkable. And another guy I love is Todd Rundgren. Todd Rundgren is a genius, man. These guys, Paul McCartney, these guys are just brilliant and fearless. And those are the people that I admire. I'm not there yet, but that's the North Star, you know, where you are fearless, you can do whatever you want. And you know, just to hear these sounds, like once you get your keyboard, Phil, you'll understand, like, oh, I can do a harpsichord, I can do a Rhodes piano, I can do a string section, I can do a tuba. You know, everything is there. Like, one of my favorite sounds is a French horn, because I'm a huge Bee Gees fan. I love Bee Gees from the earlier stuff. You know, like there's a Fanny Be Tender with My Love. There's a wonderful French horn part in there. I'm like, I want that. I want to steal that. And you hear that in Take It to the Grave Part 2, where it's like, that is totally inspired by old Bee Gees records, like where that just that French horn, you know, and just to acknowledge and to learn what that is. What is that sound? I want to know what that sound. Well, it's a French horn, you know, and everything is at your disposal. Like my recording software allows me to find a French horn and put it on there. That's the great thing about it.
So, do you feel, you've kind of already expressed this, but do you feel like in a band atmosphere that you're kind of, the band has a sound that you're going for, and you're kind of constrained by that, but whereas with your solo stuff, man, that there's just unlimited possibilities. You can do whatever you want and take whatever journey you want to go on, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the whole point of my solo career, is to follow the muse wherever it takes you, no matter what. I'm very thankful to people that support the project, where it's like, you don't know what you're going to get from song to song with Ryan, and I like that, and I love that people support that, because usually, you know, you get homogenized and you get everything sort of cookie cutter and all that, where you know what you're going to get. But with me, I wanted it to be unpredictable with my solo career. Now, with that being said, like if we go back to, say, Atomic Kings, the one thing that it's a double-edged sword, because one of the great things about working with other people, whether it be Atomic Kings or Crash Street Kids even, you've got this input from other people, and they make you better. You know, iron sharpens iron kind of thing, where you learn from the people that you're working with. Atomic Kings, totally right. Crash Street Kids, same thing, where I learned a lot over the years working with other people. So when you're self-contained for a solo project, you know, for me, that's probably why I waited so long, because I feel like it took me a long time to go, okay, I think I got the tools, you know. But it's always great to work with other people. You'll never be the best you can be unless you get out there and work with other people and have them sharpen you, you know.
Yep. Yeah, and that's one thing I always brought into the band for me, was to find musicians that was better than myself, because it challenged me to raise my game, and I had to get better and better. And playing with, better musicians, like you said, iron sharpens iron, and you have to, you don't want to be the weak link, so you have to rise to the challenge. And yeah, I completely get that. So on those little video clips that you did, it is your son helping you with the editing and all that, or do you do your own editing? How do you do that?
Yeah, actually, Michelle does some of that as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it was Zoe turned me on to a video editing software called CapCut. And she goes, it's free and it's awesome. And I go, holy shit, yeah, it's awesome. And so that really helped. So it's sort of a family affair there where they said use CapCut. And then Michelle's like, okay, take that part out, make it shorter, put it as a reel, I said, okay. Thank you guys.
Well, I just love those. I love that you do those, and they're well done. And I just wanted to give you a shout out for that as well.
Shout out to the app Cap, is CAPCUT, CapCut. It's a wonderful app. It's just on your phone. It works really, really well. So that's a big part of those videos, and why they look the way they do is because of CapCut. And that's Zoe going, you should use that. It's more of a TikTok thing, although I'm not on TikTok, but she goes,
same here. Yeah, I've been listening to the album a lot lately, and I mean, I love the songwriting first and foremost. It's funny because when AD was back touring in Nebraska, I got to hang out with him a couple times. Went to a couple shows. We actually did a show together.
awesome.
Got him up on stage and made him jam with us. We played,
Hey.
what was it, AC/DC's What's Next to the Moon.
Really?
And,
oh,
yeah.
That's amazing. Oh, that's awesome.
That's a great song. Yeah, we jammed it out with AD. But we were chatting, and I'm like, of course, when you're with music geeks, you geek out about music. And so I was like, hey, who's some of your favorite songwriters? Because I'm really into songwriting. And one of the first names he kicked out was yours. And he said, Ryan McKay. He goes, wow. Ryan McKay is a genius. And just listening to your catalog, I agree. I'm just really amazed by your songwriting talent. You may not give yourself as much credit, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt just because we're interviewing or anything like this. I truly believe that you have an ability that is amazing, and it comes out, in the music that you write and these concepts. I love that you use concepts. I love how you develop it. I love how you explain that, how you're developing your concepts. Mm-hmm. Just there's a lot of depth to your songwriting, from a vision all the way through the production. I mean, the production on this album was great. The same as the other albums as well. The production's great. You're a one-man wrecking crew, and you got all this ability, and those of us out here in your world are just like amazed. And I know that it's kind of hard to sit and listen to somebody talk like this, and so, but I did want to point that out, that people that are around you and are really see this, and I want to encourage people to come out and check out your catalog and experience this, and your passion for music. You have that huge vinyl collection, and and you're talking the Bee Gees, which I love the Bee Gees as well. I mean, you can't the Bee Gees, Rod Stewart, you name it. These are all, some people will say, oh, well, you're a rocker, so why would you listen to a wide range of music? Well, if you love music, period. It doesn't matter what genre it is. There's just that connection. And when you hear something that connects with you, you're turned on. You're like, hey, yeah, this is me. This is what I like. This is what I dig. And you have a unique talent. So
I look at it like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, right? Like I've learned so much from all of these great records in my record collection. So I'm not one to toot my own horn because I feel like I can tell you every note that you hear on Gadzooks. I can go, well, that's inspired by this record. That I just said the
Yep.
Bee Gees French horn. These things, these elements I pick up on. If there's a talent that I possess, it's that I can hear something and identify what it is and then incorporate it into my own sound. What's interesting to me, like, and I still am wrapping my head around it, where not a lot of people write songs. And when I was a
Yeah.
kid, that was so normal. I had a really good friend of mine, Jay Briscoe. We were best friends in middle school. We were in gym class together, just like the Ouija board chicks. We have thick as thieves, and Jay, super great singer. One of the first time I ever heard someone sing in a rock band, and I couldn't play guitar to save my ass. And I went down into Richie's basement and there's this garage band playing and Jay Briscoe is sitting behind a Yamaha DX7 and singing his ass off. And I thought, holy shit, man, this is unbelievable. I can't believe it. Like to actually see peers create music and they wrote their own songs because they were so bad at it, they couldn't do covers. So they wrote their own songs. And
Right.
so me and Briscoe became fast friends. And I wrote songs. I always wrote songs ever since before I could play an instrument. I wrote songs. And so now I meet this Jay Briscoe guy and we write songs together and we get so excited and then the thrill of writing that song and to create this and man, people are gonna freak out when they hear this, when you're
Right.
14. Yeah. And shit like that. So I love the process of it. And what I've learned going back, like that is unique. I didn't realize I thought everyone did it. I
Yeah.
thought, well, my songs probably aren't as good as the guy down the street songs. There is no guy down the street writing songs. We were like the only people doing it. And when I moved to Phoenix, I thought, man, I better really write. I moved from a small town into Arizona, and I'm like, oh man, I really better have my A game. I better write the best songs I can write, and get into a band. And it's like, no one writes songs. Is seriously, no one can write a song. I grew up doing it since I was 13,
Right.
14 years old with Briscoe. Like we did that every day, you know.
Yeah.
So there was that muscle that was always being exercised with me. And then it never dawned on me that it was unique in any way. Like I just thought everyone did it. And what I've learned over my 50 years on this planet is like, oh, it's very unique. Not everyone writes songs. And like, oh, well, I
Well,
didn't, kind of glad I didn't know that,
and I'm glad that you shared that, and I want you to share more. But that's kind of where we're kindred spirits. Is I got into music. I mean, I had a passion for music, listening to music, enjoying it. And I always wanted to play music, but I always thought to play music, you had to write your own music.
Yeah.
And which was weird because I picked up a guitar to learn how to write music, and I started learning to write music, writing
Yes.
my own songs immediately. And, sure, then I'm like, well, okay, I got to learn this Kiss lick and I got to learn this and whatever. But I was more passionate about the writing and learning to write, taking all of those inspirations, all those years of listening to music and kind of channel them into my own, having my own voice.
Right.
And you've done an amazing job with that. And so it's a skill that you have to develop through the years, which you mentioned as well. So, I know that you kind of talked through that, but is there any is it the collective of all the music that you've been experiencing that you've because I've listened to you comment about there's this part that I can reflect back on this album or this artist or whatever, and so was that an intentional journey that you took, or is it something that just came out because of your passion for doing it, for writing?
Well, the thing is, you're always trying to challenge yourself and do things that you haven't done before. It's like this, as a songwriter or in anything, in any creative endeavor, like you're always challenging yourself. You don't want to write the same song over and over again. You want to create new sounds and find different things to do. I think through the years, one of the best things I ever did was learn music theory, which guitar players hate. And
Yep.
people, it's a double-edged sword too, like where people hate like music theory, or guitar players who know music theory are the worst because they're really arrogant, you know. So it's sort of like all over the place. But I decided, I always wanted to make a living playing music. And one of the things I did to make that a reality is to teach guitar lessons. I taught guitar lessons for 10 years in Glendale, Arizona, 50 to 60 students a week for a long time. And that
Wow.
really sharpens your skills in terms of music theory because you're teaching it over and over again. So it is an intimidating endeavor at first, but what you have to realize is that you're just giving language to those sounds that you hear. So
Mhm.
when I say like that is going to be a flat seven, or that's going to be a four minor, or whatever, that's just giving a descriptor to what that sound is. So therefore, when I'm driving in my car, and I hear an ELO song come on the radio, I go 1 6 4
Right.
4 minor. He loves his four minor, and so I can identify all of that stuff. So the trick then, after you've like when you really get into music theory, and my friend Jeff Finley told me this, and he's so right. Like when it clicks for you, and all of this music theory, the next year of your life is going to be the worst music you've ever made, because
Yep.
it's like the Three Stooges who try to get in through a doorway. Like there's three of them, and like, get out of here, like they can't get
Yep.
through the door, right? So, and that's what your brain is doing, and so that's uh, the bad part. But then when you actually come to terms with it, it is so useful. I mean, to write that fugue, I knew exactly how I wanted to do it. I wrote that fugue in 20 minutes,
Wow. Wow.
because
But I can relate with that a lot because I went in and dived into music theory because I'm self-taught. So I dove into music theory after, playing for maybe 6, 7 years. And I thought, well, I need to learn the language, and make sure I understood the language being spoken. And then I was like, my, I felt like my creativity, I was so focused on the technical side of music that I lost the passion for sometimes you think outside the box when you don't have that.
absolutely.
And you create elements to your music that everybody's like, where the hell did you think that up? Steve Clark is a great one from Def Leppard, who was just he didn't think music in the same way as a lot of other people did. Little riffs that he would do, you're like, wow, amazing. And you have that ability as well, but you have this depth in theory. And I felt like, okay, now I learned all the stuff, and I felt like after I had been on that journey so far, and I felt that it was affecting my writing, I just quit and went. I'm like, I gotta forget all this. I'm glad I know what I know, but I gotta forget it if I'm going to keep that creative edge. So, and you just kind of talked about that balance. So I can relate with that journey as a songwriter.
Yeah.
I probably should spend more time with theory, and but I'm always afraid that it's going to put a cap on my creativity, and so
Mm.
um, there's a balance, I guess, that
What
one has to have when they deal with that.
what a wonderful topic this is. You're totally right, where you do need to find a balance, and it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot
Yeah,
of time to figure out, how am I overthinking this? Am I trying to make things too complicated? And I guilty of that, where I do tend to make things maybe overly complicated. Again, going back to working with other people. So I work with Greg Chason and Atomic Kings, and I would bring these songs in to Atomic Kings, and Greg would go, "Why is that part there? Why is it there? Can you explain to me why it's there?" And I couldn't. I had no answer. And he's right. And it's like, oh, yes, you're right. That doesn't need to be there. what is that part's purpose? There is no purpose. You're just doing it because you can do it. It's like, no, that's not right. Okay, you're right. Sort of self-editing, is a big piece of that. And you gotta like, sometimes like a song, like if you come up with the concept of a song, like the attitude, the title, like what is that song? Like Night Riot on Gadzooks is like, it's a power pop song. Don't overthink it. Rock it. Rock and roll, man. And that's what that song is. Whereas something like, the fugue, which is called Ocean. That song Ocean is like very orchestrated. There's violins and all this different stuff. It's like, so they're on the same record. It's like Night Riot and Ocean are on the same record. And one is just like, let's fucking rock. And the other one is like, let's make it orchestrated. So you got to pick your battles, and figure out what serves the song best. Going back to Chase On, why is that part here? What is the purpose of that part? Like, he's a wonderful arranger. Blessed to have worked with him with Atomic Kings, where it's like, man, that guy is really good at arranging songs. That is his skill set. He's a wonderful, amazing bass player, one of the best bass players of this generation. But his real thing for me, I look at him like he's a really good arranger. So like, that's the thing I tell him, like, so
see, and that's fun to work with people like that, that have those abilities. And sometimes, as a songwriter, and that's a great thing with co-writing music. I've been writing music for, by myself for so long, and I'm challenging myself to not write in the typical formats and try to stay without, and sometimes the song, it just feels like it should be in a typical format. And sometimes it's like, this one feels like it should be something a little bit obscure that we can do a little bit more with this. But you brought up Run Riot or Night Riot, and I was reading through the credits and the lyric sheets and everything, and that song is not listed in there. You don't have the lyrics on the insert.
Alex is
purposely, or
no? Alex is in charge of that, and he's still grounded.
Oh, is he? Okay. Well, I was wondering, because I'm like, did he do this on purpose, and why would he?
No,
because there's little Easter eggs, like you said, with the two.
What happened was, so actually, I have my copy here.
Well, I don't want to throw Alex under the bus or anything, but I had that question.
We laughed about it, like, oh, dude, are you serious? Oh my God.
Time to cancel that Adobe subscription.
Yeah. So my attitude when it came to this thing is the overall appearance of it, right? So you have all these, I wanted everything to be sort of symmetrical. So as Alex would send me the proof, and I go, okay, yeah, but we got some wasted space here. Let's move it. And I was constantly making him move it around, and I don't know what happened, but he somehow managed to delete Night Riot in that thing. And we didn't even know it until just what was it, a few weeks ago. And Michelle came in and goes, Night Riot's not on here. I'm like, yes, it is. Yeah, it's going to be. Oh shit. So ultimately, the buck stops here with me, and I'm doing it. So I don't throw out.
Here's the deal, Ryan. We're going to edit that part out, and we're going to start over. Hey, it's really cool that you left that one out, because now it makes you guess. Now it's like something that you can share with us later, the lyrics to that,
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's a bunch of bad words in it, and it's very subversive. So
no, it was, I caught that, and I was just like, that's I got to ask, because, I can get OCD, and I'm like, I don't understand.
Because we went back and forth so many times where he sent it, I go, okay, that looks good. And I'm just looking at the thing as a whole, like how the columns line up.
Right.
Go, great, we got it. And I didn't even go through the songs. So it's, the buck stops here. It's my fault, not Alex.
You know what though? I think when I say we, because, just doing an album. I understand what you're going through when you're doing an album. You're trying to proofread everything and all that kind of stuff. So when you're going through that, it's easy to miss those sort of things. Because I mean, there's a lot to developing that. And it's nice that you have a team. I was doing most of that process myself and developing all that and doing my own proofreading. And then I'm like, gosh, man, I got to do this again because I might just be, you know how it is when you're proofreading your own stuff, it's easy to miss a word or miss something that, you know, because you're so familiar with it as being the writer or whatever.
Yeah, your brain will fill in the gaps. Like your brain.
Well, and then, yeah, exactly. And so when you're I put a lot of time and thought into how I want the listener to experience the album. The song flow, the dynamics within the songs, but also within the flow of the album. How important is that for you?
Definitely.
I mean, how much time do you spend a lot of time thinking about those things?
As the songs get completed, you know, you start from nothing, right? So you've just got a batch of songs, and then you start to see the whole picture develop over time. The thing about Gadzooks for me was there's only 2 songs that didn't make the cut, which is rare compared to the last album. The last album had 30 songs that didn't make the cut, but I was finding my way to making a solo record at that point. Gadzooks only had 2 that got kicked to the curb. So once you've figured out where you're at with the material that's actually going to be on the records, so we got our top 12, you know, or whatever. Actually, top 10, and the last 2 songs were about getting the conclusion, the conclusion of the record. So the concept, you know, ending.
Yep.
So I wrote those. So I basically had 8 or 9 songs, and I got to finish them out, you know. So yeah, it's very important, but you want to keep the pacing, and that's what's so great. Like the attitude, even going back to Cross Street Kids, the attitude that AD and I always had was like, it's 2 sets, it's 2 sides, right? It's like a set of music.
Yep.
So you've got 20 minutes to wow somebody, and then you flip it over and do it again. And so you pace everything for that side, you know. Yeah, and that's always been my approach ever since Let's Rock and Roll Tonight in 2005 or whatever. You know, always just pace the side.
Yep, and that's I always thought in 2 sides as well. I never thought of it, you know, even though we went into the CD era where it was just one continuous track listing, I always thought of it as 2 sides.
Yeah.
Growing up with vinyl, you always thought of everything 2 sides. But you know, I feel like I'm hogging the conversation. Sorry, Bob.
No, you're good. Hey, I'm enjoying this, man. I'm enjoying it.
Dude, jump in here and do you have anything for Ryan before we kind of jump into our top 5s?
I will ask you this. So what kind of time frame do you allow yourself, or do you give yourself? How long does it take you to put one of these projects together from start to finish?
The Gadzooks was one of the fast ones. So that's when you know you've hit on something, you know, when it comes pretty quickly. And as someone who's doing everything himself, like I'm April to August is a pretty fast turnaround. I'm actually choosing the track order and everything in August, and then September, you know, I'm mixing and mixing again and mixing a third time and all that stuff.
So you do some recording as you go. You don't record everything at once. Like, do you record?
Yeah. What's nice about the setup I have, I just record basically demos, but those demos are actually the session itself. So I can go and add to it, replace stuff. So I always have you know, when we get our songs done, we know these are going to be the songs. I go in and do real guitars, because I'm really just in the box, just plugging my guitar into my computer with some bullshit amp, and that's on the software.
Right.
And then it's time for real guitars, and then it's time for real bass, you know, and miking stuff up and everything like that. So that's sort of like the later stages of the process, because you've chosen the songs, you know what the songs are going to be. you've kicked a couple to the curb, and these are going to be the songs here. These are the ones. Let's do real guitars, and
Gotcha.
go in and recut vocals on certain things. There was a lot of vocals for me. Like I'm pretty hyper hyper anal about my vocals. I hate the sound of my voice, so I'm like I gotta I recut a couple of songs from beginning to end. It was what were the two? I know Tell Her was one that I recut. Tell Her I actually recut the whole damn thing because I thought it was 2 beats per minute too slow. That's how anal you get. So it's like, no, from scratch, we're gonna do the whole thing over again, and we're gonna make it 2 beats per minute slow, faster.
Right on.
And then
Yeah.
the piano ballad at the end of side one, I also re-sang because I thought I was too emotional, and I was like, oh, it's a little cheesy. So let me recut that. It's still a little emotional, but it's better than what it was, and just little shit like that, you know.
Right. Okay.
I thought your vocals were great. I thought you did a great job. And you're using, a nice full range of vocals on this. Your melodies are really good, your harmonies and everything that you do with it. I dug that. And I get the whole thing. I don't like my voice. I don't like the way my voice sounds recorded. I've always wanted a lead singer because I don't want to have to do that crap. But I got talked into it. So
Sound really good on your record, Phil. You don't need
I
to.
appreciate that. But
You've got a
dude,
really
there was one point that you were making, the beats per minute thing. That's a big deal. Like as a songwriter, when if you're not feeling that vibe, if it's just not feeling right, the groove isn't in the right pocket. I mean, you can feel 2 beats per minute, and somebody might go 2 beats per minute. How does he realize it's 2 beats per minute? But you actually feel that.
yeah. It's when it also when it's in context, like you've just heard the
Mhm.
last song, you've heard this song is kicking off side two, and it's 2 beats per minute too slow for kicking off side two.
Yeah,
That's the attitude, right? Like where you go, oh man, let's recut it because it's so minute, right? Like you think that you're just being overly analytical, but you're not, because you want that extra
right.
energy, the energy of 2 beats per minute faster, or 3 or 4, you know.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bob, what else you got?
Well, I mean, you want to jump into the legendary singers, solo artists?
Yeah, well, let's do that. Now we didn't really define criteria for this, so it's pretty open because I've had a huge list, and
No, not you.
yeah, I suck when it comes
He
to
never
making
has
lists.
4 or 5. He's always got 30.
I mean, this like hurt my brain trying to figure out top five. So
Yeah.
it's a tough thing to do when you're talking, something like this. Anyway, so since there's no criteria to that, how do we want to do this, Bob? Who do you want? Do you want Ryan to start since he's our guest? Have him start, and then
Sounds great.
and since you're the boss, you can go last. I'll go
Boss.
second.
I don't know why he calls me the boss. I don't look like Bruce
You're the
Springsteen,
boss.
man. I look nothing like that guy.
So we had five solo artists who the criteria was that they were in very successful bands and then they went solo.
Yep.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we just gonna do one at a time, I guess, and then we'll go around the horn.
Perfect.
Okay, so I really don't have a particular order, really. But I'm gonna start with my number 5. The band was Humble Pie, and he left Humble Pie and created a solo career that still survives to this day. Peter Frampton.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
I've recently discovered like those Peter Frampton records from 72 to leading up to Frampton Comes Alive. I mean, obviously he'll always be remembered for that, but I really kind of dig those solo records. It's taken me some time to kind of warm to them, but I like what's going on over there, and I appreciate I guess I kind of relate to him in some sense, where he doesn't have like the lead singer's type of voice, but he's a really great guitar player. And he's also a great songwriter. And you can hear his voice mature through those records, and then finally hits the grand slam that is Frampton Comes Alive, which is one of my top 10 records of all time. Great record.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool.
I'm with you on that one. Okay, so number 5, I struggled with this one. There's so many great artists that and I'm not going to name drop the ones that didn't make the list right now, but so, and I'm even struggling right now because I have 3 names wrote down. I'm going to go with Phil Collins. Phil Collins,
yeah.
From Genesis. So, I'm a huge 80s pop fan. And I like Genesis, but I really liked when Phil started releasing his solo stuff. I really got into his solo stuff. One of my favorite songs is I Wish It Would Rain Down, that collaboration he did with Clapton. I thought that was amazing. I love that song. But I just felt like as a artist, we saw him kind of grow as an individual artist without the Genesis, being within the Genesis band. And so he was my number 5.
Nice.
Phil Collins.
Yeah, great stuff there.
Well, there goes my number 5.
Oh, you can still pick him if that was your number 5.
I did have Phil Collins actually at number 5. I always really enjoyed everything he did outside of Genesis, and like you said, that song with Clapton, amazing. No Jacket Required was probably one of his best albums. One of the best albums of the 80s period, I would say, in my opinion.
Out of the 80s was that record, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Phil Collins, that's who I had at number 5.
All right.
All right,
on to number 4 for me, he was in the Jeff Beck group. He was in Faces, and I'm talking about Rod Stewart.
Oh yeah.
These Rod Stewart records, man, whether it be the Faces or the Mercury years for the Rod Stewart solo records. Just great record, just fantastic vibe for days. Talk about guys that are in a room just jamming together. Rod Stewart to me can sing the phone book, and I would buy that record. It's just fantastic. His voice is just magic to me. Big Sam Cooke fan, obviously. And I just love his voice. And I have Faces and Rod Stewart on Mercury in the 70s.
Nice.
All of them vinyl. I love them.
Yeah, you have no argument here, man. He was on my list. He was one of those that I was like, where do I put him? And anyway, so I'll jump into my number 4. And Rod didn't quite make the list. He should have, because I completely 100% agree with you. But I had Lionel Richie for my number 4.
Oh man, yeah, good one.
Man, the Commodores, great stuff. But that first solo album that Lionel left, I think 9 of the 10 went number 1. It was amazing. And his solo career has been amazing. Just a incredible artist, period. Lionel Richie was one of them that I've always been a Lionel Richie fan. So
he was on a tear. Can't Slow Down, is that the other album too? Yeah. I'd put that against Thriller, like pound for pound. Like you could put that against Thriller as far as quality of the writing and production.
I totally agree.
Well, I get Bob. All right. My number 4, I get, and this guy, I wouldn't say he had the utmost success as a solo artist. I just really enjoyed him. And that would be Dennis DeYoung from Styx.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
I enjoyed a couple of those early albums, Desert Moon being probably my favorite. I always loved Dennis DeYoung's voice. I always thought he was one of the greatest singers of that era. And at the age of what, 72 or 3, whatever he is right now, the guy can still sing like
His
that.
his his solo records that came out in the last few years are actually really good. If you've heard, I don't know
Yeah.
if you've,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
they're really good. They're really well produced and good songwriting. Yeah,
Yeah. But
never heard that.
just an amazing artist, man. Dennis DeYoung. And I wish someday that whole reunion would happen again, but
I know.
I'm not seeing it.
No, no, not anymore.
Yeah,
All right.
I think
So,
it's harder and harder. Yeah. Anyway,
so
go ahead, Ryan.
number three for me, uh, you might know him from such bands as Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, to me, he never really made a consistent solo record, but what he's done since the end of Led Zeppelin is something to be like, hand claps. Good job, dude. He made all those records in the 80s. He's still continuing to do interesting work to this day. Never really was bound by what he did in Led Zeppelin. He seems to like follow his own muse. So for that, I made him number three. That he just keeps going on, not treading on the past, moving forward. I appreciate that. Do I listen to a lot of it? Actually, no, but I will applaud him for keeping things going. And he had a lot of big hits in the '80s that are fantastic songs, like "Big Log" and "Live My
Yeah.
Life," stuff like
Oh,
that.
great. Oh,
Great,
yeah.
great songs.
Yeah, great songs. Tall, Cool One. I mean, there was a bunch of
Yeah.
those songs from that era yeah, I still listen to those. Kind of when I'm working out, I'll have my playlist and for some reason I have those songs in there to work out. Easy listening to workout.
Ship
Um,
of Fools.
so,
Ship of Fools. A great song
so
too.
my number three. Now his first band was big. His first album was big with Montrose, and
Ah,
then, but for me, he's always been better as a solo artist than when he was in bands. And I've always loved him as a solo artist and his his band. So I'm talking about Sammy Hagar.
yeah.
Now Montrose, that first Montrose album was huge. I love that album. And I felt like Standing Hampton is when he started really finding his way as a solo artist, and up through the 80s until he joined Van Halen. And I was so pissed off when he joined Van Halen. I'm like, oh man, he's on top of the world right now with his solo stuff. Why would he do something like that? And not that I wasn't a Van Halen fan, but I was kind of, I always felt like Dave was the right guy for Van Halen, even though Sammy did a great job. They sold a lot of albums with Sammy and the band and everything, but I was always wanting a solo album from Sammy. And so when they broke up, or Sammy got kicked out and whatever the official ruling is there, um, went right back in with Marching to Mars, a great album, and just went on and was doing great work as far as a solo artist. I will say that Chickenfoot, I've got both of those albums, studio albums, and they are phenomenal. That was a good band and great work there. The Circle, I think that's still kind of more of a Sammy Hagar uh, thing than it is really like a band, but it's interesting. But Sammy Hagar is my number three. Um,
Nice. Yeah, love Sammy.
I'd say my number three. This guy was in the Babies back in the '70s.
hmm,
Talking about John Waite.
Yeah.
yeah,
That guy, even to this day, his stuff that he puts out solid. I mean, yeah. And I always thought, and I still think he should have been a lot bigger than he was. But
Did you see that documentary? There's a documentary about
yeah,
him.
the hard
yeah,
way.
Yeah,
The
that's a
hard
good.
way.
yeah.
Yeah, big guy. I got a autograph poster from John Waite back here behind me. So
I
yeah,
Nice.
thought he would be on your list.
hey, big fan. Big
Yeah.
fan. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, underrated. All right, so I'm moving on to my number two. I'm sure everyone has this person on their list. He comes from a little known rock group called Kiss. I have chosen Ace Frehley as my number two. He has had a really productive and, while spotty, a very good solo career, starting with Frehley's Comet and moving on to albums like Trouble Walkin', which is a very good record.
Yeah.
Anomaly
Yes.
is a fantastic record. Smokes what Kiss was doing at that time. And then his new album, 10,000 Volts. I freaking love it. I think it's great. Good for him. He's still freaking rocking, man. Good for him, you know.
Yeah. Being a huge Kiss fan, he's he's on my list coming up, so I'll just say that. For my number two, Ozzy. I'll just blurt it out, man.
Wow. Yeah.
Ozzy,
I didn't
and
think
if you
about
look right above my shoulder here, that's Randy Rhoads.
Yeah.
He's the man. The introduction of Randy when he and Ozzy put out that first album in 80 just blew my mind, man. And I was I wasn't a huge fan of Black Sabbath. I understood their significance, but I just was never a huge fan of it. And when Ozzy solo stuff came out, I was like, this is like what Randy brought with the writing from his glam style. And and Ozzy's background. I mean, how much did Ozzy actually contribute? I get that, but there was his band in the beginning. The writing and everything. They had great writers, great songs. Those first two albums, I mean, just classics. I think the first six Ozzy albums are just solid gold. I love all of those. I do think that Ultimate Sin was overproduced, but other than that, it had quality songs on it. And Jake was a stud. Zach, love Zach. Ozzy's always had great guitar slingers, but yeah, that he's definitely. I was a huge Ozzy fan up until that seventh album, and Osmosis and some of those, just I don't know. It just kind of he still puts out good songs but overall albums, I'm not necessarily in love with his overall album vibe, but every once in a while there's some good songs mixed in there that I dig. So I still listen to Ozzy and I still buy his stuff. I got all of his albums, but because I'm a fan, but kind of like the Kiss drop off in the last few years. Not bad albums, just there's good songs on those albums. But anyway, so yeah, Ozzy.
Love it.
Well, for my number two, I'm going to go with the other Van Halen singer, Mr. David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
The reason I say it, and I'm more of a Sammy guy than I am a David fan, but those first couple David Lee Roth records and the band that he put together for those records
Oh yeah,
was phenomenal. So I mean, I just felt like that needed to be mentioned.
Yeah, David Lee Roth. Even Smile is a perfect record.
Right.
yep.
Folks, 5150, and I like 5150, but man, Eat 'em and Smile has so many great songs and moments on that. It's so great.
Very
Yep.
good record. Very good record.
Yeah, and you I mean, you go from Eddie Van Halen to Steve Vai and have adding Billy Sheehan to the mix.
Yeah.
I mean, just right there, just oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
That hit everybody like a anvil, when that came out. And you kind of expected something like that from Dave, right? I mean, he wasn't going to sit on the sidelines. He needed that attention, so he put together a great band. And yeah, those first two albums, just like Paradise, I love that song too.
I think there was even there was an EP in there somewhere too, I believe. Maybe that might even been
Crazy from the Heat.
Well, that was
yeah.
Yep. The EP was the first one, wasn't it? And he did California Girls and
Just a big
yeah,
one.
yeah.
But give DLR some love.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to do my number one here. One of my favorite artists ever. Absolute genius, brilliant, fearless, all the qualities that I usually like in an artist. He comes from the band Genesis. That is Peter Gabriel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beginning really hit his stride in 1980 with the third record, and then just murders the 80s from there. I mean, Peter Gabriel 3, Peter Gabriel 4, and you got So.
So
And
yeah.
Yeah, and just So is like a perfect record too. It's like one of the best sounding records too. Just just unbridled creativity there with Peter Gabriel. And he just continues to make records, which I love. He just has a different attitude when it comes to making music.
Mad scientist.
Yeah, mad scientist kind of thing. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, exactly right. The guy that could just like reduce me to tears in a heartbeat, stuff off of 3, 4, and the album and then oh my God, that one. Well, it's Us. I think it's called Us, that record that came out in like 90. And the very first song, Come Talk to Me, about his daughter. And if you want to just be reduced to a pile of goo,
Hmm.
just watch the Secret World Tour on YouTube. The very first song, Peter Gabriel is on the telephone trying to talk to his daughter, and who is played by, oh shoot, I want to say Natalie, but that's not right. But anyway, there's the gal that's singing, portraying the daughter, at the other end of this long walkway. It's like I mean, if you have a daughter, as it's just like it crushes you to watch the two of them. Come talk to me, please come talk to me. It just,
Wow.
he kills me. He kills me. I mean, to come up with something like that was so personal for him, and then to create it on stage with another pro singer, it's like now it's like beyond, like I said, North Star, like that is beyond the North Star, like where you have done that and you've touched so many people with that. It's like, fuck, like I'll never be able to get that to that level. Only Peter Gabriel gets there, or Bowie. But
Yeah.
those guys kill me. They kill me. Peter Gabriel,
Yeah.
number one.
Dude, great choice. Yeah, definitely on my list too. I watched a documentary. I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically a camera following him around through the creative process. And it was so interesting, especially the musicians that he was using for the album, and them giving insight,
Yeah.
kind of how they have to work with him. And it was a fascinating. So yeah, absolutely. That's a great choice. My number one, I kind of alluded to it last time, Ace. Huge Kiss fan. Ace has always been my superhero. I do a lot of my, when I think about my sounds, tone chasing and stuff, I'm thinking a lot of Ace and that Kiss sound, which Ace was a huge part of that overall Kiss sound. But Ryan did a great job of talking through Ace's solo career. I love the new album. I think it's fantastic. Ace, you know, Ace has always had that I don't know, just that vibe for me that made rock and roll fun. And you hear it on the albums, songs like Insane and Dolls. And I just dig that, he's got this, and that comedic side of him. He always said that if he didn't do rock and roll, he's going to be a comedian, and go into comedy. And I just felt like, there was a connection. And I've always, that first album that I put out, I'm Your Rock Star, was, I used for my reference CD. It's funny that you said, but Trouble Walking was the reference CD I sent to my producer. And I was like, this is kind of, the sound I'm going for. And I was super happy with the turnout, the sound of the guitars and everything. It was there. The bass, yeah, and the that was all because of Ace, man. Ace has had just that kind of impact on me. So Ace was my number one, Bob.
Right
I'll
on.
flip it to you.
Well, you mentioned this guy earlier, but I got to say, as far as solo artists from a successful band, I'm going with Ozzy Osbourne as number one.
Yeah.
The guy's solo career was every bit as big as his Black Sabbath career. I mean, it just was. I mean, I know it's two totally different entities, but at the end of the day, they were both just
Yeah.
as successful as the other. So I
Well,
would,
especially that time frame of the 80s, early
right.
90s,
I mean,
Ozzy was really kind of blowing Black Sabbath away. And I don't want to say that completely because Ronnie, put out some great albums late
oh,
70s, right around the 80
Yeah,
time frame. So
yeah, like Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules,
yeah,
they were going pretty neck and neck there. And then obviously Ozzy took over
yeah.
for the
And Ronnie
rest.
went solo, what, 82? So, and there's another
yeah.
one,
Holy
and
Diver
not to
thing.
stump on you, but yeah. So definitely, I agree with you that Ozzy is he's
Yeah,
the he's the madman, the diary of the madman.
He is.
hard to argue with that. Yeah, Ozzy.
All right.
Also honorable mention real quick. I
Yeah.
didn't on here. I figured somebody's going to grab them, but obviously Lennon, McCartney,
Oh,
Harrison,
yeah.
Yeah.
those guys. I think the best post Beatles is All Things Must Pass from George Harrison. Um, but Lennon and
Nice.
McCartney both obviously, kill it, as solo artists.
Yeah. That was all three of those names were on my list too. And um
I left them
yeah, a
off.
few others, like Stevie Nicks and Joan Jett.
Yeah, yeah.
And Joan, one thing about Joan is when her solo albums were, she didn't write a lot of the material on her solo stuff. She always, either recreated songs or had songs written for her. But I love that, her success after the Runaways, was far overshadowing for the Runaways. But
Yeah,
but
totally.
she was just, yeah, she was a great artist, and I've seen her live a lot of time, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 times, and always puts on a great show. Just a great artist. Stevie Nicks, yeah, another one of my favorites, Smokey Robinson. You know,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, Tracks of My Tears. Yeah, I love Tracks of My Tears, one of my all-time favorite songs.
Great
So
songwriter. Great
yeah,
songwriter.
yeah. Anyway, I'll jump it off and hand it back over to Bob.
Yeah, you could do this
Yeah,
all day, man. There's just so
I
many.
know,
I never
I know.
just, I try to name the ones that I think that everybody would remember and, that were fairly successful in the solo career part of it. There was a lot of guys that jumped ship and did solo careers and didn't have that much
Well,
success, but
think about
Yeah.
Clapton.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Clapton could have made the
absolutely.
list too. He was definitely on mine.
Well, some of
Very
those
successful bands, and yeah,
some of those guys have such a good, successful solo career. He's like, sometimes you forget that they were even in other bands
Yeah.
because they were
yeah,
so
exactly.
big. I mean, when they were so big as a solo artist,
Yeah.
you know. But
Well, Rod Stewart was one of those that
mhm,
was for me was just that,
right,
and I would even say Ozzy, to a certain extent because I became familiar with Black Sabbath more after Ozzy.
right,
Um, but yeah, I agree.
cool.
I'm with you on the Ozzy thing. The first time I ever heard those Black Sabbath songs was the album Speak of the Devil in
Mm,
fourth grade with over at spending the night at Louis Quintero's house. And that's the
nice.
first time I heard Iron Man and all that stuff was Ozzy solo, Speak of the Devil. And then my buddy
Yeah.
Steve Russell came over to my house not long after that with a copy of Blizzard of Oz. And we listened to that on vinyl back. I mean, I'm in fourth or fifth grade. It was like a thing. And I always tell the story
Yeah.
too. Like I wanted to get my own copy of Blizzard of Oz, and I'm only 11 years old or whatever, and my mom said, you need to keep your room clean. I know you want this Ozzy record, but you need to keep your room clean for 2 weeks, and then I will. And I'll never forget. She makes the sign of the cross, like, oh God, like I'm buying an Ozzy Osbourne record. And sure as shit, that's what I did. And then we go to Musicland, Sam Goody at the mall, and they did not have Blizzard of Oz, but they had
Oh,
Diary of a Madman. So I picked up Diary of a Madman, and
nice.
that's still my favorite because that was the one that I worked so hard to get.
Yeah.
And then my
Yeah.
buddy, I recorded "Speak of the Devil" from. I borrowed it from Louis Quintero, And then I recorded it on a blank cassette, you know, as you did back in 1983 or 4 or whatever it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put the
And
tape over that notch. And
yeah. Yes, you had to work for it back then, you know.
yeah, absolutely.
I still love Speak the Devil. I love that record. Tommy Aldridge is slaying it.
Man.
And Brad Gillis.
And Brad Gillis, I like Brad Gillis.
I do too. I love Brad Gillis. I love Night Ranger. Love Brad Gillis. I thought he did a great job. Now he had a really tough job coming in for Randy Rhoads, especially on that finishing out that tour.
Yeah.
And so that's that. But yeah, that was Speak of the Devil. Yeah.
I have been told that is not Rudy Sarzo on bass. It's Bob Daisley recut.
Oh, really?
I have it on pretty good authority.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Everyone loves Rudy Sarzo, but
Yeah.
truth be told, he didn't play on a lot of that stuff. It's somebody else.
Well,
I also had heard
Randy.
I heard Dana Strum played on some of the early Ozzy stuff also.
Yeah, there's all kinds of lore about that, but yeah, it's Bob Daisley, I think. I was told.
Interesting. Nice. Nice little bit tidbit there.
Oh, a little conspiracy theory time.
Hey,
well, if we're going into conspiracy theory, we got to talk about the Ace Frehley, Steve Brown,
oh man,
Pepe Castro debate.
Oh,
that's another episode. We got to do that on another episode.
I know. I don't, honestly, I don't care. It's a good Ace Frehley record. He's singing on it, so
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
It is very, very good record. Very good record. Speaking of records, we need to let everybody know where we can find all your good stuff, man. You want to let everybody know how to get a hold of you and find all your merch?
Yes, just follow me on social media, Ryan McKay Music, RyanMcKay Music. That's my Instagram handle, my Facebook thing too, and yeah, and you can find all of my music on ryanmckaymusic.bandcamp.com. I love working with Bandcamp. They are the exclusive holders of all of my music. So come follow me over on Bandcamp, and you can stay up to date on any the next releases and stuff like that. So yeah, please pick up and support the great team here, my kids and my wife and everybody. Just support a local indie artist. Would be greatly appreciated. We
Nice.
love making music for everybody, and people seem to really dig it. So we're going to keep going as long as there's
Brilliant album. Congrats on that. Brilliant album.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate your time.
Folks. Yeah, great talking to you guys as always, and we'll catch you next time, man.
Sounds great, man. You have a great rest of
Sounds
your
great,
weekend.
Ryan. Take care.
All right.